Hey everybody, and welcome to the live broadcast. I just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. It's great that you're here, and I'm going to be giving away the Porsche bag in just a moment. I have gone through all of the emails. For those that are not aware, we did a contest here on the channel, and we should grab it. It's right here. This nice Porsche bag that I was given for going to Camp 4 Canada, which is their winter drive program in Macaglis circuit north of Montreal. So that's going. And also, I just want to go through an email I got from Dennis DeRosier, DeRosier and Associates. Dennis DeRosier is Canada's leading auto analyst, and I'm going to go through sort of where we are in the Canadian market. He says that 2018, January of 2018, we sold 117,000 vehicles in Canada. That's almost a 6% increase over January of last year. They have all kinds of momentum in Manitoba with sales up almost 57%. Nova Scotia sales were down. Here's the interesting thing. The compact passenger car segment recorded a 7.7% sales increase. Along with luxury high cars and luxury sport cars have all gone up. And it's kind of running counter to the trend we've seen here over the last little while, with most people moving now towards utility vehicles and pickup trucks. So for 1 month anyway, we've seen a 7.7% increase in passenger cars. Here's one thing that absolutely boggles my mind. The Chevy Cruze recorded a 105% sales increase in January, and it's jumped into the position as the second best-selling passenger car in January, the Chevy Cruze. So I would almost bet that Chevy put a whole bunch of incentives on that. And here's another one. The Jeep Wrangler shot up 196% in January. 196%, placing it firmly in 4th place among the top 10 selling light trucks. So that's amazing that the Wrangler sells so well. So what it could be, I was trying to think about why Wrangler would sell so well. The new Wrangler is being produced now, and they're starting to be shipped to dealers. So I'm wondering if maybe people wanted the last of the old one. People are going out to get them. They didn't really have any incentives in place on the truck. Here's the thing. If you want to buy a vehicle that has the best resale value after 4 years, it's the Jeep Wrangler. I think it's like 80% of its value or something very close to that after 4 years, which I'll give you an example. You pay $10,000 for something and 4 years later you get 8 back. It's insanity. So the new Wrangler is coming. I'm on the list to get it, so I'm looking forward to getting a chance to drive it. The new Wrangler has a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. It's got the 3-liter Pentastar 6-cylinder. It's going to have a diesel, which is awesome. That's the one I'd wait for to buy, but I'm looking forward to driving it anyway. And then there's going to have a hybrid system as well. Okay, so the Porsche bag, we're giving it away, and I'm guessing from the name and the area code, it's a 514 area code, Francois Lalonde. In Montreal, you have won the bag. So I'll be sending you an email, and you can send me all your details and we'll get that bag out to you. So good on you. All right, let's get into the chat room and see what's going on. We had a keener in here early. Ryan says, great watching your videos. 2014 Audi A6 3-liter versus 2017 Volkswagen Passat. Seems like less luxurious option, which is fine. Am I crazy? Also a non-certified pre-owned car suicide. I'm fairly handy. Now 2014 isn't that old. You just think about, we just kind of clicked over to 2018 now. So you might be able to get that car certified as a CPO. So check into that. I always say, and anybody who watches this regularly knows, I always say you want to own a German car under warranty, at least have it under warranty as long as you can. And that car is, you know, has been quite reliable. But if you're going to take it out and buy it, then you need to get it inspected. So an inspection report, a pre-purchase, a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection report will give you a good idea of how well it's going to run. So the newer model Audi cars have been quite reliable. So, you know, go in there knowing that there could be some repairs, but get it inspected. They're very different cars. You're going from a front-wheel drive Passat with a 4-cylinder, maybe it has the 3.6-liter, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, or an all-wheel drive luxury mid-size sedan. You couldn't get more apples and oranges, other than the fact that they're both sedans. Fatir says, Zach, we have 2 Siennas over the past 10 years. We want something different now, but have yet to find anything as convenient, comfortable as minivans. We are a family of 7, sometimes 8. Here's the thing. If you move a lot of people around, there is nothing better than a minivan. Absolutely nothing. A Sprinter might be an idea for if you have that many people in your vehicle all the time. Yeah, I think that get another minivan. I mean, you're moving that many people around. There's nothing better. You're getting people in and out. Fatih says, one more question, Top Gear or Grand Tour? I haven't watched a lot of the Grand Tour, to be honest with you. I have had a drink at the pub. So if you go to an auto show, one of the major auto shows in North America, they have a Grand Tour pub that they set up, and they serve English beer, and you can eat some food there. So I guess I like Grand Tour now because they fed me at the auto show. Hi, Zach. Keep up the excellent reviews. When are you getting your hands on a Regal GS? I don't know, but when I do, I will drive it. Hey, Works Guy says, let's get to 100,000 subs soon. That's great. I would love, you guys are the people who subscribe to my channel. You're watching on a regular basis. I'd love to get more subs, and that's great. So I don't really ask ever for subs, but I just organically get them, and it's creeping up to about 100,000 soon. But hey, if you haven't subscribed, click on that, and also click on the reminder thing, because a lot of people are saying they're not getting the videos when they come out. So that's important. But yeah, any way you can help out, get your friends to subscribe, that'd be great. Dag says, should teens drive SUVs? Why not? I mean, I wouldn't want, why not drive an SUV? I mean, there is a theory about mass, right? Like, but it's not really a theory, it's a real thing. The bigger the vehicle you have, the more likely you're going to survive an accident. So yes, SUVs have an inherent rollover factor. They have a higher center of gravity, and you get them into the corners and you're driving too quickly, you can roll them over. But you can also get into a whole lot of trouble with a car because they're typically more nimble and people seem to do crazy things in them. But yeah, I mean, if it's a modern SUV with traction and stability control, a lot of those systems really do work to help keep the vehicle from any potential rollover. But I wouldn't have a problem with a kid driving an SUV, especially a bigger one, because if anything does happen, mass always wins. The bigger vehicle usually wins, right? Tom Chan, we are still waiting for A5 and S5 Sportback reviews. I know it's hot selling, but are the press cars hard to come by? Here's the thing. On the West Coast, do you know how many Audi cars there are in their press fleet? 0. Not one. So I do get a chance to drive their cars when I get invited. So there's the A7. I get invited. Luckily, I'm sort of on the top list for travel with Audi to go to the press events. For example, I drove the RS5 last year before it's even coming. And I mean, I got to drive the A7. It's not coming until the end of 2018. So I do get a chance to drive those, but there are no cars here in the Audi fleet for me to drive. I do have great contacts at the Audi dealer, the Dilawri dealer here in Vancouver, and I could probably try and wrestle one away for a day because I have an Audi A7 and I bought it from them. So they might be able to lend me one out, but I'll look into it. What's your favorite wagon currently available in Canada? Well, it depends on size. I haven't driven it yet, but a lot of my colleagues here in Vancouver, there is a Mercedes C-Class wagon in the press fleet, and I have to get my hands on it. Everybody that's driven it absolutely loves it. The new Volkswagen Sport Wagon and All-Track are available with all-wheel drive now and manual transmission, if that floats your boat. Volvo makes some cool wagons as well. It's a very small niche market. The A4 variant of the A4 variant wagon is also a very nice product. I'm a big fan of the A4, so that would be a good one. But yeah, there's not many more that I can even think of. Well, I guess you would call the Outback a station wagon as well. Lexus fan says, what do you think of the new Passat? I heard the Arteon is going to take its place. No, that's not true. And that looks like a real cool car. I've seen it in person when it was unveiled. And can't wait to drive it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But no, I don't think there's. What do I think of the new Passat? Passat's a fine car. It's kind of boring though. I mean, it doesn't look that exciting. It doesn't look that exciting inside. It drives well. Actually, does drive quite well. And it's big. Like I've said, I think you've asked me this before, Lexus fan, but it's a big car. So if you're looking for a big almost full-size car, and you need a lot of room in the back seat and you need a big trunk, it is a very good choice. Jogbird, it'd be interesting to see lease versus purchase. I think a lot of high-end SUVs, etc., are leased. I have to do this video. I've been meaning to do this. I wrote a book, actually. A lot of people. Let me see if I can. Was there one nearby? Hang on a second. I'm just gonna grab it. Here it is. So I did write a book. It's called Motormouth, A Complete Canadian Car Buying Guide. And that was in 2010. Oh my God, I can't believe that was 8 years ago. Wow. Don't I look great? I haven't aged a bit. So I went through a lot of this stuff, leases versus buying, and then I had my picks for each category. I'm going to open one and see what I said in 2010. So for... which car did I pick? So I had a category winner for each category. Compact category. I think I chose the Mazda 3. Anyway, that was the book, and I have a whole chapter on buying versus leasing. So I want to do a video version of what's in there, and then I'll put a link on my website so you can read the whole thing. But it's a great idea, and it's one of those things I got to get around. So lots of high-end vehicles are leased. Yes, they are, because a lot of people with even that can afford to buy these cars outright know that their money's better put to work doing something else. And a lot of people who are sort of stretching to get into a luxury product don't want to have the outlay every month. And the great thing about leasing is you're only paying for depreciation. You're not paying for the whole vehicle every single month. Plus the tax, you only pay tax on the payment every month. So when you buy, we'll pick a round number. It's not a luxury car, but we'll pick $20,000, okay? So if you go and you buy a $20,000 car and then the tax gets added on top of that and then you finance it, you're actually paying financing on tax, okay? With leasing, every month you pay your lease payment and you pay the tax every month. So you're kind of deferring the tax over the term of the car. There are a lot of positives, in my opinion, to leasing, and I've got to do that video. Yeah. All right, next question. Would you rather buy a 16 Acura MDX or Lexus RX 350, depending on new SUV, and stuck between the two? Well, one is a 3-row utility and one is a 2-row utility. I was always a fan of the MDX, but the MDX is quite a bit bigger than the Lexus RX. So are you talking about the same year? Because the Lexus RX changed recently. The previous version of the Lexus RX I found was kind of noisy, and they definitely improved. The new Lexus RX is much, much, much better than the old version in every single way. It handles better, it looks quite aggressive and different, it's very nice on the inside, it's quieter and all of those things. But an MDX is, so you have to decide, do you need that extra third row? If not, get the Lexus. And now the Lexus is coming out with a 3-row version. Chris says, hey, Chevy sells cruises in rental fleets. It helps the sales numbers. Yes, it does in a huge way, but I'm referring back to the sales numbers I referenced at the beginning. For it to go up 100% in 1 month really is quite something. Unless somebody actually bought a huge number of cars, that could be true. Marty says, hey Zach, looking for an 18 Murano. Should I wait for the 2019 Santa Fe? Well, it was just announced, the Santa Fe in Korea, South Korea, during the Winter Games. Now, I didn't get invited to this, but journalists were taken to Korea for the announcement of the new Santa Fe, and they got to go to Pyeongchang to watch some of the games, which was very cool. So a colleague of mine in Quebec, Gabriel Jelena, I saw his picture on Facebook. He was at the Big Air competition, and it was great. Just on a side note, the Olympic Games, I absolutely love. I'm just glued to the TV, the whole thing. You know, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore with their ice dance, all the Canadians. I mean, We were in second place for the medal count, and then on the last day, the Germans got one more medal. So Canada getting third place in the medal count, considering we're only a population of 36 million. But Norway, with a population of 5 million, with almost 40 medals, is unbelievable. But yeah, it was fantastic. So they all went to South Korea. Got to go to the Olympics for a day, and they announced the Santa Fe. And the big news with the Santa Fe is it is going to be coming with a diesel option. So they're going to have the 2.4, they're going to have the 2-liter turbo, and they're going to have, I think it's a 2.2-liter diesel engine. So that's something that's really interesting, that they're going to have that available. It should be very interesting to see how it drives. So if you are not in a rush looking at a Murano or a Santa Fe, I'd wait to see what that car's like. When it actually get a chance to drive it. So what else can I say? The Murano, I don't love the drive of it. I find it really kind of soft and a bit mushy. Nice interior. It's got a continuously variable transmission, which I don't love, but it's very stylish, both outside and inside. But I would wait to find out more about the Santa Fe. Do you know if the this one comes from Adrian? Do you know if the Mazda 6 hatchback is coming back? I don't believe so. Mark Dion, do you think it's better to buy an expensive Porsche Cayman with low depreciation or BMW 2 Series with low base price? Well, you can never go, if you're looking for actually like what is the better financial decision, well, the Porsche Cayman is the better financial decision because Porsche has some of the highest resale in the industry, and you buy them. Well, the other thing is you can find a lot of low kilometer Porsches sitting around when they come up for sale, because a lot of people, this is obviously not their primary source of transportation. It's a weekend toy. It's parked in the garage. Often they never get driven in the winter time. They sit in the garage. So they're low kilometers. They're garage kept, they're not driven in the winter, they're well looked after, they're very reliable, great resale value. So if it's between those two, yeah, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Plus, Porsches have better reliability than BMW. That's just imperial fact. You look at all the stats, they just definitely do. So if you're going to buy a Cayman, they're going to drive it for a few years and probably do all those things with it, put it away in the winter, all that kind of stuff. You're going to get your money back in the years down the road. Zippo Bob says, I went to the Canadian International Auto Show recently and I was really impressed with the new Volkswagen Tiguan and how roomy the interior and cargo was. Would you say it's the best one in its class? Well, there are so many utilities in the sort of compact utility space now, and the Tiguan is no longer really compact. It's kind of one of the biggest in its class. So here's what you have to ask yourself, and I did an interview with Thomas Tetzlaff from Volkswagen Canada recently at their Winter Drive program. So if you want to watch the interview with Thomas and I, it's about 15 minutes long. It's on the channel and you can watch it, and we talk a bit about Tiguan. About 50% of people are buying the Tiguan and opting to get the third row seat in their vehicle. It's $750. And if I was going to get a Tiguan for $750 more, I would get the third row seats. You might only use them once or twice a year, but the fact you've got them there is definitely an attractive feature for only $750. So it's one of the biggest in its class. There are only two other vehicles that offer a third row. You have the Rogue, which is only available on one trim, and then the Outlander from Mitsubishi. So those are the three vehicles. What Volkswagen did that was really quite clever is they made the third row of seats on the Tiguan with that $750 option on every trim. So if you get the very base model or the top one, all of them can be equipped with that third row seats. I do like the Tiguan. I think they did a very good job with it. There's one issue I have with it, and that is the programming of the transmission. I don't believe there's anything wrong with the transmission. I just believe that the programming. So it has this very short first gear. You go like 10 feet and then it shifts up to second gear. And I think they do that obviously for fuel economy, but they get you into second gear as quickly as they can. So that stumble in the first 10 feet can feel a little bit weird. I know that they can update this with a software, but if that's if enough people complain about it. But that's my only issue with it. I think it's a great product. I don't think it's the best in the class, but if you're looking for space, it certainly will fit the bill. Boston Ma says, thoughts on the reliability of BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Porsche, Volkswagen for reliability from best to worst, repair costs outside of warranty. Well, Porsche's definitely number one. If you look at J.D. Power recently had a study that came out, and I think that it was after that was BMW, Audi, Mercedes. So they're all very close in there. Volkswagen is below industry average, but improving every year. So yeah, Porsche is number one. And I've owned 3 Porsches, and I'm soon going to get a 4th. So I'll tell you more about it when I get it. But yeah, they're all getting much, much better. I have personally, but these are old cars now, experience with BMW that wasn't the best. And it fluctuates from year to year. And a lot of owning a German car really comes down to your pain threshold, okay? So even though Porsches are very reliable, the annual service that you need to do can be very expensive. Like I had a Cayman for 6 years, and the Porsche dealer, I think for annual service was $650. I said, do you get a limo to pick up the guy in the white jacket to go to Walmart to buy the oil? Because I think that's ridiculous. And I never went back. I took it, actually what I did was I phoned the Volkswagen dealer and I said, oh, by the way, I've got a VR6 equipped Cayenne, same engine that's in the Touareg. What do you guys charge for an oil change or an annual service? $250. I called the Porsche dealer back and I said, Volkswagen will do it for $250, and they matched it, but I never went back there. But yeah, so it's a pain tolerance with German cars outside of warranty. So be prepared that you will need to spend money, and it can get very expensive. So my advice is still the same. If you want a German car, best to have it under warranty. Mike says, thanks for the advice last week. We got an M235. My wife and I love it. What a car. Awesome. So last week, Mike obviously chimed in on the chat. I don't remember it was your name, but anyway, Mike, I do remember telling you that this is the best car in the BMW lineup, in my opinion. And an earlier question about the Cayman and the 2 Series. They're both fantastic products. I'd be happy with either of them. The 2 Series BMW is a wonderful car, and I'm so thrilled that you have it. But you're asking which is, I think, better for depreciation. I think the Porsche will hold up, but both are excellent products. Now the M2, that's a sweet ride. And if anybody can get their hands on a 1M. Remember the 1 Series? And then they came out for, I think, 1 year. They had the 1M. It was available in orange and white and I think one other color. So my neighbor used to have the orange one. Oh my God, what a sexy car. That was a great car. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. What a machine. M235, well done. Hey Zach, any news on the 19 RAV4, the redesign, going to come out this year? If so, how soon you think we'll see the production model? This is from Computer User 1. I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe that the RAV4 might be unveiled at the New York Auto Show, which is coming up. The press day is March 28th. The reason I know that is because it's my son's birthday, so I will be here and not at the New York Auto Show. Did I say LA Auto Show? New York Auto Show. And Lexus has an event as well, and I almost guarantee you it's going to be the new Lexus ES because they showed the Avalon at the Detroit show. Lexus ES is based on the Avalon. They've shown that, and they're due the Lexus version. But here's what I think is going to happen, because I got a chance to talk to somebody in manufacturing at Toyota Canada, and they were talking about switching the line over from Corolla at the Cambridge plant, which will be going to Mexico, and then a new utility will be going into the Cambridge plant, which will be RAV4. Okay, doing more RAV4. They already do it down in Woodstock, Ontario. So what I believe is that the RAV4, and here's the other rumor that's out there, is a full plug-in RAV4. That's the other one. I don't know if that's being confirmed or not, but yeah, so those are the big ones to come. So the RAV4 definitely needs to be redone, and this could be the year. So just about a month to go now until we find out if it's at the New York show. So my predictions for this car, it's going to run on the Camry. It's going to run on the new global platform that the Camry uses, and the Prius, and the RAV4. It's going to have the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder that they have now in the Camry, which is a great unit. The new 8-speed automatic transmission that they have in Camry, and the hybrid, of course, and the rumor might be a full electric. All right. Imdad said, hey, Zach, 330e. Your thoughts on this plug-in hybrid electric vehicle? I don't really know. I have had a chance to drive it quickly. One of the issues with that car from the short time I had it was the range is really low, right? So, and it's, I'm not going to say much more than that because I only drove it for a very short period of time. But considering the cost of a lot of these plug-in hybrids, it's like, why? You know, like I don't really see you're getting much out of it other than the fact that you get to say you're driving a plug-in hybrid, because you look at the cost equation of the cost of the vehicle and then what you're going to save in fuel. Is it really worth it? 1775, hello and happy Sunday. I'm buying a new car. My budget's at around $70,000. Interested in to hear your recommendations. Well, that has got to be the most vague question I've had today. So 1775, what do you need it for? What have you been considering? How, what cars do you like? Is it a utility? Is it a sports car? Is it a sedan? I don't know. Philippe Adams says, hey, Zach, great job. Well, thank you very much. Andre says, I have a CRV 17 and I read that there are problems of excessive oil dilution going through the 1.5 liter turbo. I read also that the Civic equipped with a 1.5 liter turbo has excessive oil dilution. That's the first I've heard of that. But just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's not true. This is what you want to do. There is a web forum for every car out there on the market. So go type into your computer Honda Civic forum or Honda CRV forum, and you'll find a Honda forum. You go on there and you start searching for these questions and you'll start to see that. Okay, so you can go to the web forum and find out more than and this is the first I've heard of it, so thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'll see if I get any more questions about this. RM, I know you like the CX-9, but again, can you reiterate how the power and the drive was? I'm looking to get the signature soon. Here's the thing, RM. Tomorrow, I'm picking up the Mazda CX-9. And my beautiful wife, Andrea, we're taking the Mazda 3 back. My beautiful wife, Andrea, and I will be doing a review together, a family kind of. She's going to drive it, I'm going to drive it. And from my memory, because it's been about a year or so since I drove it, I was really quite impressed with the engine. And I know it's a 4-cylinder, but I thought it was very good, to be honest with you. And I love the interior. I think it's just so beautiful inside there. So if you don't have to buy the car right away, the review will be out later in the week. So hang tight for that. Yasser says, hello, I'm from Iraq. Awesome. If somebody watching from Iraq, that's really cool. Canuck says, oh, where's Canuck? It's jumped around here. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to... We got lots of questions in here. My goodness. I got to go a little faster, I guess. I lost my place. All right, here we go. Hey, Zach, what do you think of the Cadillac ATS as a used car, 2 to 4 years old? I noticed they depreciate quite a lot more than other cars. Thought it would be a good buy. Are there reliability issues? Well, if you look at the quality scores, Cadillac doesn't do as well as other General Motors brands. But you know, if you're going to get a 2-year-old Cadillac ATS, well, you can get one certainly with an extended warranty from the dealer. And I really do like the ATS. So go and watch my review. It's on the channel. Really fun little car if you don't need to take a lot of people in it, because the back seat is quite small. But I got to tell you, the Cadillac cars, if you've never driven a modern Cadillac and you drive them, they're really quite impressive. From the CT6, we recently did a review for Driving Television, going to be on soon, of the CTS, and I've had the ATS and the V. I think they're really good cars. And they do depreciate quickly, so there are some great deals out there. So if you're worried about the reliability issues, get one under warranty and really get out there and negotiate a good price, because there are some great deals on them, to be honest with you. Hi from Edmonton. Hey, Don, thanks for that. Ray Noren, words on the BMW X2. Well, they showed it at Detroit, the X2. So, you know, with every BMW, there seems to be the sporty version of it. You know, there's the X1, then the X2, which is the slightly sportier version. Then there's the X3, and then there's the X4, slightly sportier version. So I thought it looked really good. I haven't got my hands on it yet, but stay tuned for that. I have to actually book a bunch of BMWs. It's been a while since I've driven a lot back to back, so please stay tuned for that. Elizabeth Long says hello. Hello, Elizabeth. Nice to have you on board. Elizabeth, I joked that, you know, you're in here with all these dudes, and then someone emailed me and said, hey, or somebody commented before, hey, there's other women that watch this, so I'm glad you're here. Arsh says, excellent review, Zach. What do you think of the BMW 440 Grand Coupe? Would you lease one? I think that's the one to get. Between the 3 Series and the 4 Series, and for those that don't know, 3 Series sedan, 4 Series coupe, or 4 Series Grand Coupe, which is really the 4, same thing. I was just talking about the X1, X2, X3, X4. So it's the slightly sportier version of the 3 Series sedan. So you get 4 doors, but you get the hatch and a slight decrease in headroom in the back, but it really isn't that big a deal. So if I was going to choose any of those cars, other than say a convertible, that would be the one I'd pick. And lease it, yeah. One of the things about leasing a high-end car like a BMW, an Audi, or Mercedes, they have the handcuffs they put on you, and not in a bad way, in a good way. So once you get into their ecosystem and you lease a BMW, they make it very easy for you to come back and lease another one. Often they'll forgive a few payments at the end. They say, hey, you know what? You've been a good client. You come in 3-4 months early. We'll get you out of that one. We'll get you into a new one. And we'll give you a lower interest rate if you renew with us. So their whole job is to try and keep you getting more BMWs, Audis, or Mercedes, whatever brand you're into. But yes, leasing is a great way to go. It covers a lot. And I have to do that video, as I mentioned earlier, of things for people that, you know, accelerated depreciation is. I'll just point this one out very quickly. Say you bought a $60,000 BMW and bam, someone hits you at an intersection 2 weeks later and it costs $15,000, $20,000 to repair the car. Well, it's a brand new car. It's only 2-3 weeks old. The insurance company will not write that car off. They will repair the car for $15,000 or $20,000. Now you own a car that has been hit. If you go to sell it, it's not going to be worth as much because it's got this big accident on the car or a declaration on the car. But if it's leased, all you're obliged to do is to have it repaired, you know, to their standards. And typically you go back to BMW and then they would send it to one of their certified shops and get it repaired. So that car is now worth less in the market than one that has not been in an accident. So at the end of the lease, if you're in a situation because of that depreciation that you don't want the car, you just give them the keys and say, thank you very much, that was great. If you own the car, now you've had to absorb that accelerated depreciation. So that's just one reason why leasing can be good. Mike D says, great review, Zach. Thanks a lot for the GTI review. Yeah, thanks for watching. That's all I can ask. Yeah, great car. I have 2 cars this week. I have the Mazda 3 and the GTI. I've got it parked outside. I got to take that GTI back tomorrow, and I don't like giving it back. I owned a GTI way back in the day, and it was a great car. I loved it, and you know, it's still. I was walking by the car with my dog, and my wife and I were walking the dog, and she goes, you know, I kind of get that car, like why guys, dudes mostly, want the GTI. I said, it's the gold standard. It still is the gold standard. Shamil says, which used car is more reliable, the Corolla or the Mazda 3? The Toyota Corolla. Fatir says, dream garage, 1 daily, 1 weekend, 1 family. What's on your list? Daily, Porsche Cayman. Weekend, Carrera GT3. Family car, Porsche Panamera. It'd be easy. I just have to go to one dealership. Ryan Moon says, help, BMW 230 or Audi A4. Well, one is a 2-door and one is a 4-door, so you have to kind of figure that out for yourself. Both are excellent choices. You can't go wrong. If you need 4 doors, get the A4. If you need 2 doors, get the 230. Ray Vlog says, hi, what do you think about the 3 SUV Porsche Cayenne 219? Okay, between these. Porsche Cayenne, Range Rover Sport, Mazda GLE. Which one do you think is better for long term? Porsche Cayenne. I already talked about how they have the best resale value. Actually, Canadian Black Book just came out with the winners of their retained value awards, and in the premium SUV category, Cayenne was the one with the highest resale value. Porsche has the highest quality scores in the industry, tied there with Lexus pretty much every single year. So that one's a no-brainer. If you're doing it for long term, okay? But once again, buying a German car, it's all about the pain tolerance you have for spending money. All of these are going to be, I just realized one of them is British, but they all have expenses and repairs. And if you go on to a Range Rover forum, you're going to see all kinds of people that have issues with their cars. But on the flip side, it's interesting because there are some brands that just don't have the same quality as other brands, but people love them. They go crazy for them. Range Rover has a long track record of not being the most reliable car on the road, but people love them. They have one, they want another one. Mini is another one. Mini has a long track record of not being the most reliable cars, but people that own them love them. So it comes down to that too. What does it mean to you to drive it? Tony Tanti, talk about the 18 Honda Accord Sport. Honda Accord Sport, Honda Accord Sport. There, I just did it. I know I'm being an ass. Honda Accord is the 2-liter turbo. Is that the one you're talking about? Or the 1.5 liter. The Honda Accord, by the way, won the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada's Car of the Year. It won the North American Car of the Year. It's won all kinds of awards. It really is a great product. And for me, it comes down to the interior, the drive, and I like the outside of it. I think it's a real fun-looking car on the outside, especially when you get those big wheels. But I think it's just done everything really, really well. So maybe clarify, Tony, about that. Zippo Bob says, why isn't Mike Gurr making more videos? Mike is taking a break because of the weather in the east, and he emailed me. He's got a bunch of cars lined up, and he's going to be delivering those videos. And I know Mike watches these, so Mike, anytime you can get those videos through, that would be great. But Mike is not. Mike is part owner of a brewery, so he's got a good gig. So he's busy making beer and stuff. So yeah, he will be back. Don't worry. I would like him to do more. So Mike, if you're watching, if you could do more, that'd be good. Ray Moon says BMW X1, Volvo XC40, or Jaguar E-Pace. So I've driven one of those. The XC40 I have to get my hands on. The E-Pace I'm going to drive this week. So there'll be another review. So maybe ask me again next week, Ryan. But I think that the X1, if you watch my review again, it's actually a shared platform with Mini. So it's not a pure BMW platform the way it has been in the past. So the old X1 was built on the 3 Series station wagon. Now the Countryman and the X1 share a platform. So the engine is transverse mounted, and so it gives you more interior space, and it's a great little driving product. So you can go and drive the Mini, or you can buy the X1. The X1 has more power. But I think I'll wait and see when I get a chance to drive that E-Pace later in the week. Josh says, hey Zach, my mom is shopping for a vehicle. We live in Montreal. I have suggested the Macan 4-cylinder, the Audi SQ5, Mercedes GLE, or an X6. Style and comfort is more important than speed. The budget is $73,000. All right. Well, that's more information, I think. Okay, so these are different sized vehicles. Okay, so the GLE and the X6 are of a similar size. Those are mid-size 2-row SUVs. X6 is a polarizing design, so I'm not sure if you're talking about the GLE. What's it called again? The GLE, the hatch, the sleek looking one. I'm trying to remember that off the top of my head. But anyway, there's that version, and then there's the X6, which are very similar looking. The X6 is now kind of getting old, and the GLE is newer. The SQ5 or the Macan 4-cylinder, well, if you don't care about style and comfort is more important than speed. Well, the SQ5 and the Macan will have a similar kind of feel on the inside, very high quality materials, but you're not going to get the same power, okay? So you've got that 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, or the 3-liter turbocharged V6 in the SQ5. So probably a better comparison is the Q5 with the Macan. But I got to tell you, when I drove the Macan with the 4-cylinder, I went into it thinking, what is this going to be like? I was pleasantly surprised. Actually, that's the title on the video. So go back and watch the Macan review I did, and pleasantly surprised. SQ5 is at a whole different level when it comes to power, and the GLE and the X6, it's 6 1/2 dozen of the other. So if you're more about the badge, if it's just about the badge, then the Macan is definitely the one to get. Edgerson says, hey Zach, I want to thank you for your review of the 18 GTI. I will consider the Autobahn version for the equipment and will get good tires for the winter. The Golf R rate kills the deal for me. Yeah, so so there's the GTI, there it is. I drove it this week and I talked about, you know, the Golf R versus the GTI, and you really have to kind of dissect what's important to you. But you get good winter tires on, and this car had winter tires on it, and we had snow here on the West Coast, and I have driven it in the snow, and it was just fine. So you get a 70 horsepower bump, roughly 72 horsepower bump with the Golf R, but it's also 300 pounds heavier. And weight is your enemy when you're wanting to drive sort of a fun car. And this car feels more nimble on its feet. It just seems to have, like, I had more fun driving that than I did the Golf R. And most people would say, are you crazy? It's got all-wheel drive, it's got 72 more horsepower. Yeah, but it wasn't as much fun as the GTI. And the GTI has a 6-speed dual clutch if you're going to get an automatic. And the new Golf R has a 7-speed, which I didn't love at all. And then I got back into this with the 6-speed, and it's like night and day. So the transmission worked better, it feels lighter, and it's just more fun. That is the perfect everyday car. The perfect everyday car, the GTI. You can live with it. It's fun when you want it to be. It's relaxed when you want it to be. It's got a cool interior with the tartan seats. Yeah, awesome. So I think you're going to love it. Jordan says you're going to be driving the Veloster N anytime soon. Well, you have to wait till it's released here, or else they have a program. But yes, I would love to get my hands on it. Everybody's kind of going crazy over the Veloster N, but you know what? It's not going to sell that many. I mean, the Veloster is, how many Velosters do you see on the road? So yeah, there's going to be. It's like the Ford Focus RS. Everybody went crazy over that car when it first came out. How many have you seen on the road? And now they're charging 60 grand for that car. It's crazy. Hello, Zach. Pierre from Montreal. What do you say about the Atlas? What did you say about the Atlas? But with the 4-cylinder, I was looking at the Atlas to move my family. No need to haul. Would I suffer from lack of power? I haven't driven that configuration. So the base model Atlas comes with the GTI engine and front-wheel drive. Okay, if you go for the all-wheel drive or the 4Motion equipped cars, then you jump up to the VR6 engine. And I haven't driven it, but Thomas Tetzlaff from Volkswagen Canada, now he's going to say, or you're going to say, come on, Zach. Of course Thomas is going to say this. He actually said the feedback they're getting from people who have driven the Atlas with the GTI engine in it is actually quite positive. So I can't say because I haven't actually driven it. So if you're considering it and you're fine with just having front wheel drive and it's just to move a family around, then go and try it out. And if it's, you know, here's the thing about big utility vehicles. They're really just big utility vehicles. You're not racing around in them. They're just moving people, and everybody needs to be comfortable and get in and out of it easily. So if it's not about getting there fast, and apparently from what I hear, the reviews are pretty good on it. So, go and try it. That's all I can say. Go and try it. And I say that to everybody. Try. I get emails every single day. Zach, this and that and this and that. And I say, and my number one reply is, have you driven them yet? So go and drive them, because don't just buy a car based on me. You know, input from people like me is good, but you also need to get your seat in the, your backside in the seat and drive it for yourself. Raheem says, hey Zach, hello from Grand Prairie. I almost bought a Golf R, but backed out. Thought it was a little pricey. What do you recommend, Acura TLX or RDX for snow and practicality and everyday driver-wise? I don't recommend the Acura TLX at all. I hate that car. That's the one car that I've driven over the last few years that I really disliked. I drove it twice, and both times I got out of it and go, I don't like that car at all. So you're asking my opinion? TLX, no. RDX, fine. RDX has the V6, the 6-speed automatic. It's been out forever. And if you're going to hold this car long term and you want a reliable vehicle, it is going to be absolutely bulletproof. However, there is a new RDX, was just shown at the Detroit show. There's a quick video I did on the channel from Detroit, and it's going to have the 2-liter turbocharged engine. It's going to have a 10-speed automatic. It's going to be much more driver-focused with an upgraded suspension and a whole new look and interior. So if you're not on a rush, that might be waiting for. But TLX, like I said, get a GTI. It's more fun. Someone says, "Can we get your book?" No, the book has been out of publication. It was an interesting. Somebody asked me about the book. I mentioned that I wrote a book. I wrote two of them. It was the Carbine Guide, 2010 and 2011, I think it was. And what an exercise, man! So when I tell my kids, you know, I've written two books. Not much they can say because I have the copies here. But it was quite an exercise going through all of the different things about cars. And the one thing I haven't been good about doing is taking the content from this book and making it available online on my website. But I should do that because there's a lot of very good, useful. A lot of what I talk about on the chat here is in here. So yes, or maybe I should do a digital version. I don't know much about that. If anybody knows how to do you know, publishing, that would be great. Send me an email. Tom Chan, speaking of 2010, thanks for uploading the archive versions back on YouTube for Driving TV. Well, there you go. Pierre Audette, I would say the 2-liter turbo is going to be sluggish in the Atlas. The 2-liter Tiguan even feels a little underpowered, and it's a smaller vehicle. Yeah, but this has got a different engine, okay? So it's, yes, even though it has a 2-liter turbo, it's not the same. It's not exactly the same from what I remember. So the Atlas has more, I think it's got the more powerful, it's got the GTI engine in it. So there you go. Someone says, if you can't afford the GTI Autobahn, you can't afford the Golf R. They're literally 4K away from each other. That's not true. They're $6,000 away from each other. So one is 36 and the Golf R now starts at 42. Okay, so that's not entirely true. And $6,000, $6,000. And if you can't afford the Autobahn GTI, you can get the base GTI for 31. That's a lot of car. So you get slightly smaller wheels, 1 inch smaller. That's not a big deal. The headlights are not LED, but you get the LED marker lights, which make it look similar. And you can always buy wheels in the aftermarket, or you know, Craigslist or Kijiji. There's always people selling wheels. That's not an issue. You can always get Volkswagen wheels and no sunroof. And then you don't get the Fender audio system. But if you just want to get the car for 30 grand and a manual transmission, that's a lot of fun. Now this is, Babak says, hey Zach, is the e-Golf a good choice for commuting 120 kilometers both ways? My concern is reduced range in the winter time, but I love the vehicle. Well, this again comes back to web forums. So I would find a web forum for e-Golf and ask people who drive it in cold conditions. Maybe they live in Minnesota or somewhere else in the United States, or maybe even Northern Europe, and find out what their actual range is. So you've got a 200 kilometer range car, but when you're driving it in the winter, it's going to reduce the range of the car. So that is a concern. For me, I don't know, I would kind of want something with a little bit more cushion in there. And this is, obviously you're saying you're going to be able to charge it at work to drive back. So this is why a lot of the plug-in style hybrid cars make sense, like the Volt, for example. So you can do you know, quite a bit of your drive on full electric, and then it reverts back to a gasoline electric car, which also greatly reduces your fuel consumption. But if you want a pure electric car, that's my advice. Go on a web forum, ask people who live in cold conditions what their real mileage is. All right. Okay, somebody asked, do you anticipate electric vehicle 6+ seaters to hit the market soon? Well, maybe not soon, but it will happen. It's interesting, you know, I go to all of these auto shows and different events for car manufacturers, and they're always talking about, you know, Volkswagen Group, we want to sell 1 million electric cars by 2025. Daimler, we're going to sell 1 million electric cars by 2025. BMW, we're going to sell 1 million electric cars by 2025. No, you're not. The demand is not there, and we're not going to go from, you know, 0.5% to, you know, 25% of the car market being electric in really what is 6 years, because, you know, 2019 models are going to be available here anytime. The reality is no, and here's one of the reasons. So the CEO of Magna the huge Canadian parts company that makes parts for pretty much every automaker in the world. So in your car, there are parts that were made by Magna International, a great Canadian success story. So the CEO of Magna was interviewed about this, and they are suppliers of components to every car manufacturer. And he said the real number is 3 to 5% of electric cars on the road. So will we have a 6+ seater? Yeah. Is anybody going to buy it? What's the price going to be? These are all big questions. Are there any vehicles that are available in Canada that aren't available in the US? I always like the new VW Scirocco, but it's not available in the US. It's not available in Canada. It's not available in the US. I drove it last year, a year and a bit ago in Australia. It was cool. And it was a Scirocco R, which has the R engine, but it's front-wheel drive and a cool-looking car. One car I think of off the top of my head is the Micra. Is not available in the United States. Hey, Zach, which would be a better pick? Fully loaded Sorento or CX-9? CX-9, one of the issues with the CX-9 some people have is that the third row of space isn't that great. So that's something to consider. I don't know. Back to my point I made a moment ago. You need to go to the Kia dealer. You need to go to the Mazda dealer. You need to get in and out of it. You need to take your car seat or stroller or hockey bag or whatever it is that you use this vehicle for to the dealership, like I'm serious, and try and see if everything fits. If you have kids, take the kids with you. Let them climb in and out. Take it for a test drive. So I have no issue with either of them, but yeah, you need to do some of the legwork now and go and drive them. Grex says, hey Zach, love your show. What are your thoughts on with the Subaru WRX? Would you do the undercoating option, planning to lease the vehicle? No, I wouldn't. And if you're doing it, don't do it at the dealership. Like there are some good options for rust proofing. There's Rust Check and Crown and places like that, and those two are the ones that I recommend. And you can also, you can also do some of this yourself. You can buy the big cans of Rust Check at Canadian Tire, and you can spray the inside of the wheel wells and the bottoms of the door and underneath parts of the car there that are going to be open to rust exposure. But if you're leasing the vehicle, why are you going to rust proof it? You're going to drive it for 3 or 4 years and then get rid of it. So no, I wouldn't. Thomas Tsu says, greetings from Southern California. Nice to see you, Thomas, and we'll be down your way in about a month for spring break. Everybody's excited to get some warm weather. Parth says, have you tuned or modified an E92 335, pushing 400 horsepower, looking to upgrade, interested, slightly used Mustang GT 350, don't know where to go from here, also preferably manual. I'm not exactly sure what the question is there. He has a tuned modified 335, pushing 400 horsepower. Interested in an M3 or slightly used Mustang GT 350. Mustang GT 350 all day long, dude. That is a hell of a car. Loved it. But an M3 is great too. But a GT 350, hello. I don't think you're going to get any deals on GT 350s though. Paul says, while reading the owner's manual from my 2018 CRV, it actually says it may be better to leave the car outside in cold weather rather than put in a warm garage, so all the snow melts off. Well, one of the reasons that maybe that's in there is for rust. Because what happens is if you're driving in the slush and the salt, and then that all gets onto your car, if it's frozen, it's not really going to be doing anything. It's when it starts to thaw that salt gets to work. So keeping the car in a frozen state, basically outside, is going to prevent the beginnings of any kind of rust. So we had friends of ours, this was years ago, but they had a Cadillac, a really cool Cadillac. And the car was absolutely mint when they got it. But they used to park it in their garage, and it was heated every night. This was in Toronto. And that car, after about 2 years, was rusted right through. So warming the car up, cooling it down, letting the salt start to do its thing, and then it took off. So that's a theory. So maybe if you're concerned about that, maybe leave it outside. But then having a nice warm car to get into in the morning is good too. All about vehicles. Zach, is a Honda Pilot EXL a good 7-seater for a grandmother who is a musician? I'm not sure what the musician part has to do with it, or a grandmother, but yeah, it's a fine vehicle. I prefer the EXL over the Touring because the EXL has the 6-speed and the top trim gets the Touring, which I am not a fan of. So yes, I have no problem recommending that car for a grandmother or a musician, or a grandmother who is a musician. I'm jumping around here. Sorry guys, this happens once in a while. The chat box jumps around and I want to go back to where I was because it's only fair that people who have been waiting should get their question in first. Pilot looks like a frickin' box from the back. They all do. I mean, show me I mean, other than the CX-9, there are not that many really stylish looking utility vehicles. Hank W. Hey Zach, are you going to test drive the Volvo V60 soon? Yes, when I get my hands on it, I will be. I was offered to drive the V90 this week, but I've already done a review on that, so I didn't need to get it twice. This says, from Texas, currently own a Mark 7 GTI. Love it. What are your thoughts on the Hyundai Veloster N? Legit hot hatch or not? Well, the proof, as they say, is when you get behind the wheel. So I can't really say. It was interesting when I saw it at the Detroit show. They certainly gave it the colors that looked like the Focus RS, kind of like the Golf racing colors. It was kind of neat to see that. I can't say yet. We have to drive it. So let's just wait. Oscar Sanchez Cruz, what do you think about Lada coming to Canada? Lada was in Canada and they left, and I don't think they're coming back. Hey, Mike Gurr chimes in, longtime fan, first time caller. When will you be in Toronto so we can grab dinner? Okay, Mike. I'm not sure when I'm going to be in Toronto, but yes, point taken. Mike Gurr is a contributor to the channel. Yeah, I called him out a moment ago, so he's actually watching. Thanks for watching, Mike. Jay says, love the format, Zach. What an excellent opportunity for auto enthusiasts. Really appreciate your honest opinions and advice. Well, that means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Charles Payne, Zach, do you think VW will bring back a small TDI in Golf, Jetta, or variants? No. I think Volkswagen has no appetite to try TDI. I think there might be a very, very, very small chance that we could get a TDI 6-cylinder in a vehicle like an Audi Q7, okay, or maybe a Cayenne, a bigger utility vehicle with a TDI, but no, I don't think, I'd be surprised. They have invested so much money now in their hybrid and battery electric technology that I don't think that's going to happen. Is the GMC Terrain a better buy than the Subaru Outback? Depends what you want to do with it. There's a lot of Subaru fans out there would say, hell no, get a Subaru. But you know what? I've driven the Terrain and it's fine. I mean, it's a good A to B transportation car. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. They've got lots of engine choices now. They've got the diesel. If you're thinking about efficiency, it's capable of doing 6 liters per 100K on the highway. That's pretty incredible. I don't like the toggle switches they have for the transmission. But anyway, go watch the review. Same thing again. Go drive an Outback. Go drive a GMC Terrain. The one thing I will say, I've said it so many times on here, and I'll say it again. General Motors is making some very good products. Trust me on this. They are making some excellent products with good reliability, and their in-dash technology is some of the simplest and easy to use in the industry. They are killing that. They get that right. And some of their brands have some of the highest quality scores in the industry. Buick, year after year after year, high quality scores. So they do know how to make some good products, but people have to give them a chance. And General Motors is on its way back to maybe challenging Ford this year for the #1 car brand in Canada. So the new pickup trucks that are coming are going to be very interesting to watch. But Ford has such a massive lead with the F-150. So do yourself a favor and drive them. Don't just listen to me, go drive them. Hey, what do you think about the 2018 Durango RT for 11 grand below MSRP? I managed to get a deal with all the extras, 55 plus tax. Would you go for it? Well, I'm a huge fan of the Durango RT. I was walking the dog yesterday. All the stories about me walking the dog, because the dog's got to go out. I'm crossing one of the main roads near where I live, and there's a Durango there, SRT, white. big ass black wheels. Man, that's a sweet ride. So those that are not aware, the Durango is a bigger version of the Grand Cherokee. Both of them derive from the Mercedes ML platform that they shared with Daimler years ago. One of the reasons why I still am a big fan of the Grand Cherokee, and the Durango just has that third row. It's simpler on the inside. It's a really nice vehicle to drive. It's one of the very few utilities of that size that actually handles well. So yes, the only question is the residual value on that. So go to canadianblackbook.com, and type in the vehicle, and then they show you the projected depreciation. And you can compare that to other vehicles in its class, whatever else you're comparing it to see. So I have absolutely zero issues recommending Durango. I love it. I love the Grand Cherokee. The only issue is resale value down the road. Blade says, enjoy the reviews with your wife, like the second opinion. That's good, because I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have the Mazda CX-9 review with my wife later this week. Alex Curtis says, choose one. 2018 Tiguan third row versus pre-owned Mercedes-Benz E350 wagon. Well, other than them both being German, there's really not much to compare. Nothing's cooler than a station wagon. Come on. A Mercedes station wagon, that's a cool car. So only because I like station wagons. But now you're getting into a pre-owned Mercedes-Benz. Once again, what's your threshold for pain when it comes to repairs? Because there is a car that is now at its time of life where it's going to have things start to go wrong with it. So that's what you have to ask yourself. Are you a car person? Or are you a station wagon person? Now you can sort of split the middle here, and you can get a new, instead of a new 2018 Tiguan, maybe get something like an All-Track, which is around $35,000, brand new, and all-wheel drive. And if you're even out there, you want to get a manual, you can get a manual All-Track. Mark says, love your reviews. Looking at a new Honda Fit Sport, but only comes in 3 colors. The US model comes in 8 colors. Why? I have no idea. Here's the other thing. The Golf R has 30 available custom colors where they're not available in the US. So it's 6 1/2 dozen of the other. They get some things we don't get. And a lot of the cars that we get in Canada actually come with more standard equipment than they do in the United States. And there are features that we get in Canada they don't get in the US. What was one of them? I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it's the Honda Accord or something like that. Has some features you can't get in. Oh, I know what it is. CRV, heated steering wheel, heated rear seats, and panel roof. Not available in the United States, but we get them in Canada. Okay, I just wanted to say a shout out again to Francois Lalonde. You are the winner of the Porsche backpack. I will be getting that out to you soon. And we're up against the clock here. I have to go. It's been great chatting with you. Thanks to everybody. Yeah, spread the word. All the stuff you see here, you can follow on Twitter, Instagram, the website, of course, Facebook if you want. Tell your friends, sign up, and I'll be back here next week. And thank you very much for watching. We'll talk to you then. Bye now.